So yesterday in my latest video I talked about the new information to come from Creative Assembly regarding Total War Warhammer 2, the release date, the indirect confirmation of Skaven, etc. But today I'm back taking a look at the new gameplay which has been revealed to us from Total War while over at E3, and to many this comes as no surprise really, as we were kind of expecting this new footage to be released this week to tie in with the game's convention. And so this was the case during the PC Gaming Show conference on Monday, then later that day during a YouTube E3 developer interview, and then finally some more gameplay was revealed to us in their GameSpot stream on Wednesday, which is what you can see right now on the screen. This is where they really showcased a lot of gameplay to us for the first time. So without further ado, let's jump right into it and talk about what we saw. So let's begin then with the E3 first glance gameplay that was shown to us at the PC Gaming Conference, where Al Bickham, the Total War Communications Manager, talked about some of the game's features and designs, and we saw this short, only about 1 minute 30 first look of gameplay, basically a little teaser of what is to come from this quest battle of the Falling Gates. And this is a quest battle taken from the main game and features as part of Lizardman, Legendary Lord, Krakgar's quest chains, I believe. So the full battle we shall get to see on mine and other YouTubers' channels very soon, as I was able to capture footage of it all when I was at a recent Warhammer 2 event at their studios. I think I've mentioned this to you already, and no doubt Total War themselves will be showcasing this fully on their channel, I would imagine, and social media as well. And that's why I won't be going into too much detail about the GameSpot stream gameplay, as I'll be showcasing that in a lot more detail, as I say, on my channel with my version of the battle that I actually played. So the E3 first glance gameplay begins with some panning shots of the battle map, and we can see how atmospheric it looks, capturing the hot jungle and swamplands of Lustria really well, as you would expect, of course, in a Total War game. So then we get this shot of what I think is some kind of high elf lord or prince. It's not an actual legendary lord, but still I'm really impressed with their appearance, and this is throughout the high elf roster. They're very regal looking and ornate in their armour, and if you've seen my other videos across Total War, you will know how much I like that style. Then behind them, keeping with that theme, we have some awesome looking white lines of Trace, I think, is it Trace or Grace infantry? I think that's how you pronounce it, Grace. But for me it's a toss up at the moment between these and the Dark Elves as to which of them I'm tempted to play as first in a campaign. I think once I've seen the Dark Elves a little bit more, I'll make my mind up then. But these definitely suit my defensive, stand your ground sort of playstyle. So here we've got these Eagle Claw bolt throwers on the high ground. These are very deadly and effective units that can fire up to 20 bolts in one go. Can you imagine all of them hitting a mass number of units in one go? It'd be absolutely devastating. And then we have some Elven Archers and Spearmen, again emphasising that defensive playstyle that they have. Then we get the sort of first shot of the Lizardmen units, and these are very powerful missile monster of Bastillodons with solar engines. These essentially fire sunbeams off their backs, and they've got sort of skints on the sides that fire arrows as well. And these are really powerful, big damage dealers, and they're sort of kind of like the equivalent of the Luminarch of Hysh in Game 1, if you want to compare them in that regard. And then there is some skint skirmishers with blowpipes, as you can imagine, very quick, light and agile units, followed by some Cold One Rider melee cavalry with sauruses mounted on the back of them. Dinosaurs riding dinosaurs. What better thing can you imagine? I absolutely love it. Now we have the Sun Dragon, one of the many flying melee monster units that the High Elves have at their disposal. And one of the new features in Warhammer 2 is that dragons can, as well as engaging in combat like before, are now able to initiate breath attacks at range onto the enemy, which makes them even more deadly and immersive. And I really wonder and hope at the same time if the dragons in Warhammer 1 will get this updated to them in their abilities after Warhammer 2 is released, so we can have that range attack with Warhammer 1 dragons as well. Then moving forward, we catch a glimpse of the Terrordome Riders, which are a flying missile cavalry unit and have the ability to produce ranged bombing attacks, and then obviously when that ammunition has run out they will engage in melee combat, but they aren't as effective when they do get to this stage, as you can imagine. Now these are two absolute tanks of the Lizardmen roster, the Feral Stegodon and the Feral Bastillodon. They're absolute beasts, heavy damage dealers, and no doubt very hard to kill. And these are the sort of units you want to try and concentrate on if you're playing in a free-for-all battle, because as you mentioned last week, in free-for-all, the bigger units, the harder to kill units will get more points. So if you're going to kill these sort of units, you'll get a lot more points, and of course points count towards the overall victory and the decider of the victor in battle. So yeah, definitely try and concentrate on these sort of units if you are going to be playing a free-for-all battle. And as you can see, behind them to the right we have some units of Saurus warriors, your sort of kind of mid-tier infantry, and then more elite temple guards on the left who are very, very strong, tankish melee infantry, the elite sort of units for infantry of the Lizardmen. And as you can see here now, the combat is getting into full swing with some of the fantastic large v large animations, and they have actually specifically added more of these animations to this game to give a greater sense of large creatures coming to blows and battling it out. And the animations of the Carnosaur, I think, look really, really good. They seem to have captured that element of movement that a dinosaur would have to a great level of detail. It's really impressive, guys. I'm really impressed by what I can see here. And that is where they then leave the short gameplay preview for this particular video. But then you can see I've mixed together again some more of the battle gameplay that they then showcased on the GameSpot stream that they did yesterday. So that is where we'll leave it at that point, but then we'll move on to the last thing I wanted to talk about briefly, and that was the first look we got at the Legendary Lord of Mazdamundi, because during the YouTube E3 developer interview that again Al Bickham took part in, they gave us a little preview of his skill tree. That's Mazdamundi, not Al Bickham's skill tree, and a glance of him on the battlefield. And you can see he's pretty strong. He's a pretty strong Legendary Lord with a high level of HP points or hit points, standing at 6,406, and this is before he's received his mount. So he's going to be pretty capable in in taking a lot of damage even without his mount. 6,406 is quite a high number, and as we can see, he's going to be, well, we know this already, a powerful caster with what seems to be a mix of celestial and light spells. He's got some sort of wind and vortex spells, and even he has some sort of kind of healing spell. The name of it there seems to be Apothetis, I think that's how you pronounce it, and he'll be able to sort of cast as well destruction spells like the Comet of Cassandora. So he's got a really high mix of spells at his disposal. So he seems to have as well like sort of a combination of the Law of Heavens and the Law of Light for his casting abilities, along with some new stuff as well, which we'll get to see no doubt as we get hands on with it, or Creative Assembly showcase more of him to us later on down the line. But obviously this comes as a price for his combat abilities, as you can imagine. For the base, he has poor melee attack and melee defense, and his armor is pretty much non-existent as well. But look when they add his mount Zlak to the mix. Look at the boost he receives. His armor goes right up to 140. His weapon strength is a huge 420. He's got armor piercing and anti-infantry damage with his weapon. So he could end up being a very, very tanky mage unit when he's got his mount. I mean, obviously his mount, when you're playing the campaign, won't be something you'll get straight away. It'll be something probably down the line that you'll get and unlock as time goes on. But yeah, when you do get the mount, it really does add a lot to Mazdamundi's abilities in battle. And then finally they show off Mazdamundi, as I said before, in action on the battlefield with his units, and again you can see the very atmospheric battlefield in front of you, and you can see he's about to just cast the Comet of Cassandora on a group of enemy swordmasters of Hoth or Hoth, which also, by the way, look absolutely beautiful. And I think you can see here quite clearly I've got quite a soft spot for the High Elves. I think they look absolutely beautiful. So that's it, guys. That's where I'm going to wrap up today's video. That's where the content for Mazda Monday finished on the E3 developer interview. It's been good to give you a little taster of the footage, but there is a lot more that will be coming, and there's a lot more detail I want to talk to you about that I'm going to save for when I actually can showcase the full battle to you. And in that we'll go into a lot more depth about the quest battle itself, the mechanics and features of the new game, and of course a much closer look at the units themselves. Anyway, I hope you guys, as always, enjoyed the video. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already for more Warhammer 2 content soon. And until next time, you take care and farewell.